time, Chris. Now, tonight is the end of an era, isn't it, on BBC Points West. Chris is retiring after 28 years presenting the programme. Did you know that Chris is currently the longest-serving BBC regional news presenter in the country? So, as he bows out of the spotlight, we're going to have a look at some of the very many highlights from the past 3 decades.
Good evening from Chris and me to a new look Points West at 6:30 with a nightly programme keeping you...
The new look Points West starts next week at the later time.
There have been many new looks in 28 years, but one has stayed the same.
Take Esmeralda the rat here. She's become literally very attached. Not only to me today.
All of us here at BBC Points West have become very attached to Chris, a man we all respect, admire and love very much. 28 years of footage here. This isn't a job for one reporter.
No, it definitely takes 2. But where do you start?
It may be an exercise, but the missiles are real. And you're very glad you're behind this tough dusting.
First and foremost, Chris is and always has been an exemplary journalist, a reporter of integrity and courage. He covered the first Gulf conflict.
Parachuted with troops who'd fought at Arnhem.
I was very honoured to jump with you, Ron, I must say. Bless you. Lovely to see you safe on the ground. Thank you.
And as an interviewer, he's challenged not one Prime Minister,
What do you say to those who care about their education?
Well, we care about the education.
but 2.
But overall, the tax burden, that's what matters to people, not just income tax, but the overall tax burden.
Sorry, we've made it clear.
In part, Chris is so successful because he's just so very quick. As viewers found out when, in the studio, was a £300,000 diamond.
She has. It's happened. I don't believe it. Nobody moved their feet.
Who's there?
Drop the diamond!
The interrupt the broadcast for an urgent search of about £1 million worth of jewellery.
Don't worry.
Did you make the switch all right?
I did actually, yeah.
We have all loved every minute of working with Chris, and we know you love him too.
I think you're very sad, actually. We'll miss seeing him on the television.
Yes, he's given us great service over the years, and I'd like to wish him very well.
It's really sad, yeah.
Gutting.
We're going to miss him.
I wish him all the best and hope the future will be bright and rosy as it is at the present.
It's perhaps his good humour, his peerless charm that has made Chris so popular over the years.
Useful, yes. How much do you have to feed them each day?
Well,
Not least with his dedicated following, female fans.
I'm not sure I'm getting this quite right, Amanda. Can we just take your time over this one?
What about you, Chris? Will you marry me?
Well, cut.
This is a really, really, really sad day. I can't believe it. I can't believe Chris is going. I mean, you've been so wonderful. You've looked after us. I think you joined Points West just about the time we moved to the country. And there was a wonderful gentleness and sweetness and, about you, but also kindness and a glamour too. Very sexy man. Very attractive. Always cheered us up. Really, really sad. You're a national treasure. A Cotswold treasure too. And good luck at everything you do.
Trust me, you don't hold down a high-profile job like Chris's for 28 years unless you're good. And Chris Vacher is very, very good at what he does, even though he makes it look so easy. You turn on the news, and there he is, calm, pleasant and professional, even if everything is going crazy behind the scenes. He's a rock, off-screen and on, and he's one of my dearest friends too.
So, after so many years, it now falls to us to say, for one last time,
Chris, it's back to you in the studio.
How lovely was that? You sexy man.
I know, it's actually, she knows I feel the same about her.
Now we've got a very special present for you, Chris. It's from all of us here at BBC Points West. As a former Navy man, this is going to seem rather appropriate.
Oh, wow, look.
Yes.
Look, fantastic.
Yes, we decided to get the old sailor a ship's bell engraved with the Points West name. We know Chris used to be in the Navy and is now the proud owner of a small boat which is moored off the south coast. His family spends a lot of time pottering on the water, So we feel we must warn all other shipping. Please, Chris, accept this bell with our love and our thanks for being at the helm of the SS Points West for the last 28 years, and have a lovely
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you for those kind words. That means a lot to me. Yeah, it's been wonderful, and it'll be fab pottering down the coast. Maybe I'll even risk the tricky tides of the Bristol Channel occasionally and come up and see you. But I have a lovely little bathtub, and she will go very nicely with us.
Chris, we reckon you've done at least 4,000 prime-time programmes. That's months of broadcasting. You must have a few special memories.
Well, you saw in that little film there, flying in the back of a Hercules, yes. Flying particularly with a line of air cruise when we actually went into the thick black smoke of the oil fires that you remember Saddam Hussein had lit when he left Kuwait. But just as exciting back home, of course, you know as well as I do what it's like to... it's the privilege of the job, really, driving in the morning. Am I going to be interviewing the Prime Minister? Am I going to be going hot air ballooning? Or am I going to be standing up to my knees in floodwater?
Or in my case, getting the coffee.
Yeah, yes, and
Really?
if only you'd get it right.
You've been a face, though, of Points West for so long. How's that been for you?
Well, of course, it is a great privilege, as you know, and people are recognising you more than they are me. But you have to make sure you don't assume that. A lovely story I remember very quickly. In the local supermarket early after I'd started, a lady comes up to me. Don't I know you? I'm thinking first autograph, you know, get me pen out, BBC television, and she says, oh no, I thought you were my dentist. It's absolutely true.
It's those gorgeous teeth. Now, after the programme, the fun is going to continue because we've got some surprises in store for you. Some of your colleagues, Chris, as I've never seen them before, getting ready to give you a real send-off or rehearsing here a little bit earlier on. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. Fantastic.
You want to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah.
As you retire, a chapter in the history of BBC Points West closes.
Yes, after 28 years and a truly wonderful career, it's only right and fitting that we leave the last words to Chris on this very special night.
Anyway, we normally say, that's it for now. Let me wish you instead a very happy weekend. Join us again next week if you can. From us all, good night. Well, that's it for this week. Join Gerald and me next week. Have a good weekend.
But for now, from Points West, good night. For now, from the News West team, good night. Hope you dodge the hailstones. For now, have a very good evening. Have a very good evening. Look forward to your company tomorrow as usual. From me and the Bristol Bay, a very good evening to you. Have a great weekend. I've got a little present for you.
Have you got a present? Let me give you a kiss.
That's all for now. Good night. I deserved it. Well, finally, this really is my last sign-off. After such a long time anchoring Points West, and even more with the BBC, I can honestly say I've had a wonderful time. I've worked with some of the nicest and most talented people in television. I've done some of the most exciting and interesting things you could imagine. Most of all, perhaps, I've so enjoyed you, meeting so many of you, doing it for you, getting your support and friendship in return. I'm going to miss it. Keep watching the team. None better anywhere in television, I assure you. But for me, it's good night, thank you, and goodbye.